I'm Stadnyk, and this is my Reading Instructional Strategies video about making connections. Making text-to-self, text-to-text, and text-to-world connections is an important part of reading comprehension, as children are better able to understand what they have read when they can connect it to a prior experience. Because language arts requires classifying, seeing patterns, organizing thoughts, learning about relationships, and solving problems, we can guide students through this process by encouraging them to make connections to something they have experienced. However, some argue that simply relating to a text fails to develop critical literacy skills. I would argue that relating to a text is the first step in critically analyzing a text. Some argue that it's problematic to ask students to connect to a text, as some students may falsify a connection to fit the norm, or the text may not lend itself to making inclusive connections. These issues can be combated by expanding making connections to making disconnections as well. So students should be encouraged to make connections with what resonates them, along with disconnections to where what they know differs from the text. Further, educators should already be using a wide range of inclusive literature in order for students to make as many connections and disconnections as possible, so that they can deepen their understanding of the content and consider how things could be different. So we're going to practice this strategy by reading a lovely book called Real to Me by Min Lee and illustrated by Rachel Figueroa. Real to Me. When you have a great friend, the rest of the world can seem to disappear. Others tried to tell me that she wasn't real, that she was just imaginary. But what did they know? Have you ever had an imaginary friend? Did anyone tell you that they weren't real? This is an example of a text-to-self connection. So I'm prompting the students to make a connection to their lives. We laughed together, were brave together, got in trouble together, and sometimes we were even quiet together. My friend was always there for me. I can't imagine anything more real than that. What words would you use to describe that feeling? Maybe warm. This is an example of a text-to-world or text-to-self connection where students can imagine a feeling and describe it. She was real to me. Then one morning, she was gone. I thought maybe she got up early, so I searched everywhere. But there was no one there. I couldn't imagine where she could have gone without me. Okay. Have you ever read a story like this, where the author tries to trick you? Hang on a second, I thought that's the real friend and the amount. Have you? This would be an example of a text-to-text connection where a student is encouraged to connect this information being tricked by the author to another text that they've previously read. Maybe the others were right all along. Maybe I did just imagine her. And yet, I missed her laugh. I missed her when I was scared, and I missed getting in trouble together. And now that she was gone, it was a little too quiet. I missed my friend. I can't imagine anything more real than that. She was real to me. How do you think this character is feeling? Have you ever felt this way? What did you do? So here I'm encouraging children to make connections to themselves, but also to how they solved the problem. So this is how we're using that first step in connections to being more critical about the literature. With time, I did make new friends. And eventually, we laughed together, were brave together, got in trouble together, and sometimes we were even quiet together. When you have great friends, the rest of the world can seem to disappear. Can you ever lose track of time when you're with your friends? So here I'm encouraging students to make a connection to a figure of speech that the author is using. The rest of the world can seem to disappear. So I'm saying, can you lose track of time with your friends? So we can then connect our feeling to what the author is trying to tell us. While a lot of time has passed since I last saw her, I still think about my first friend and wonder what she's doing now. I can only imagine. What does this story remind you of? Have you ever lost a friend? I lost a friend, and I still think about them often. And I can only imagine what they're doing right now. Again, I'm modeling a connection so that students may also feel engaged to make a connection like that too, especially about something a little bit deeper. Thanks for watching my video on making connections.